Hey, we got the top 5 banking services that a small business needs. And do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button right now. You're listening to Financial Sense, Arizona's financial podcast that gives you insights that you could only get from a friend in the business. Recorded and brought to you by National Bank of Arizona, the only bank you need. Hello, I'm your host, Brent Cannon. I'm the Executive Vice President and Director of Community Banking here at National Bank of Arizona. Today, we want to talk about the 5 most important bank accounts and services that you need for your business. Today, we have Chris Sarver joining us. Chris is the business banking team leader here at National Bank of Arizona. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Chris, as you know, we like to share insights to viewers that you can only get from having a friend in the business. So let's get them all out there. We'll go into detail on them in a minute here, but hit me with what are the 5 most important banking services or accounts that a business needs?
A good question, Brent. I think you got to have a business checking account. I think a business credit card is really important. Treasury management, another really, really important service. Lending, SBA or conventional. And then the most important one, a relationship with a local bank.
I look forward to getting into some detail on these. Before we do, why don't you share about the team you lead, your experience as a business banker? I know that you've done this for a long time. So why don't you share that with the audience?
Oh, thanks. So I like to say I've been on both sides of the table. So I've been in banking off and on for a long time, but I own my own business for about 10 years in between my banking career. And I think that serves me really well in dealing with clients. I've been the guy on the side of the desk asking for the money, and I've been the guy giving it out, and kind of everything in between in banking. So I think it gives me some insight into what a business owner's thinking. The team I lead, we've got 4 bankers. National Bank of Arizona has a lot of different bankers, and they focus on different areas. So we've got personal bankers, we've got commercial lenders. The team that I'm a part of, I'm one of 5. We focus on small businesses, which is unique in this market. Not all banks do that.
That's right. The 5 accounts and services you list are spot on, and I think that's why it adds so much credibility to for the listeners coming from you. You do this every day. Your team does this every day. You're as close as we get to the customer. So let's start with business checking account. Let's talk about that. Why is that important?
Well, what's important? That's kind of the gateway. You know, that's every business needs a checking account. You got to be able to move money in and out and process everything that you're doing. So a business checking account is the base service. I think it's the one that everybody thinks of when you start talking about what do I need from a bank?
When should a business, speaking about early in the life cycle, when should a business open a business checking account for the business as opposed to using their personal?
Should be done really soon.
Okay.
I mean, even if you are a sole proprietorship and you're, filing your business taxes within your personal tax return, you still need some separation. So that should be one of the first few things you do after you file with the state or get your licenses or whatever it is you need to operate. The next thing you do is you really need to find a business checking account and a banker that'll help you with that. And that account, it'll grow and it'll change over time, and it may even change with your structure. You may go from being a sole proprietor to having a partnership or an LLC or a corporation. And the bank will grow with you, and put you in the right. Again, if you have a good banker, they'll put you in the right account. They'll help you get to the right account.
And I'll tell you, the person that's probably cheering the loudest is their CPA.
Very true.
Because when tax time comes, trying to figure out funds that have been commingled between personal and a business is really challenging.
Yeah, unless they bill by the hour, they probably want you to have some separation so that they can clearly kind of figure out what you've done, and help you get across the finish line tax time.
So what are some of the indicators for a business that's been operating for a while? They have a business checking account, but they kind of are looking, they look at what they're getting and maybe what their needs are. What are some of those indicators that might prompt them to maybe get a different type of business checking account or another type of account?
Have you talked to your business banker in the last quarter?
If
the answer is no, or you don't have a relationship with a business banker, not to disparage all the different folks that will help you in a bank, tellers, personal bankers, but when your business when you have an operating business, you need a business banker. So if you don't know, if I said to you, Brent, who's your business banker? And your answer is, well, I don't know. I go to the branch, once a month or once a week, whatever. Then it's probably time to make a change.
Yep.
You should know who your business banker is.
And raise your hand. Raise your hand with your bank.
100%.
Yeah. So let's talk about the second account that you list, business credit cards.
So again, that's about moving money, right? It's paying a client, it's paying your vendors, paying for the stuff that you need as a business to operate. What's the advantage? The advantage is, well, a lot of credit cards have robust points or cash back. That's rewards. Sure, those are all really important. I mean, those are, that's things or services or I guess advantages you can claim as a business owner for your normal operations. The big thing, though, that I don't know that everybody would recognize is that credit card gives you an opportunity to kind of manage your cash flow cycle,
right?
Where your cash is going out later when you're buying inventory or buying a service or whatever it is that you need for your business to function correctly. So it's really just giving you an opportunity to use somebody else's capital to make your business run for a short period of time.
One other area that people may not think about, for a small business may not think about, is using a business credit card in the business name builds credit for the business. So Dun & Bradstreet, reporting agencies like that. Speak to that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most business owners understand the need for credit. But they most of the time, especially if they're early in owning a business, they think of it in terms of personal credit, and that is leveraged in some respects. But as you grow as a business, the bank is really interested in that business's track record,
right? And
so using a business credit card will allow you to kind of establish that track record,
right?
Not only with the bank that you're doing business with, but as you mentioned, it goes to some credit reporting agencies, Dun & Bradstreet, Paydex. Some banks pull a small business banking credit score. So those things can all be affected by properly using a business credit card.
Oh, that's great. All right, let's transition now into treasury management. And again, all of this is related. These are banking services, but treasury management is really, really important. And it's frankly an area that most small businesses don't understand very well. It has the fancy name of treasury management, and all banks, use that term.
Sure,
okay.
And we're full of acronyms, so
sure.
Treasury management isn't a mouthful, right?
Right.
But ways to pay people.
Oh yeah.
Or collect payments. So
right.
Merchant card services. So the ability for a business to take credit cards as payment.
Yep.
You get your payment faster and more securely. ACH, so you can both send ACH, which is an automated clearinghouse. If you're not into acronyms, it just means that you move money either into your account or out of your account.
Right.
So again, speed. And then the other thing that's really important in treasury management right now is fraud prevention.
Oh.
So if you can move money electronically, it's faster, it's more efficient, you get paid faster, your vendors get paid faster, and then you're not exposing yourself.
Right.
And then we have some products that help for those, positive pay, things like that help us monitor fraud activity on if you are issuing paper checks.
Right.
And then we have tons of other services. We've
remote
got remote deposit, so you don't want to come to the bank, which, ever increasingly we're in a world where you don't go to the bank very often. So that, you can make a deposit into your account with a device on your desk or using your phone.
These are really important when money's moving in or out of your business, and small businesses don't have a lot of extra resources to be spending on these type of services, but they're so critical.
Agreed. That's a discussion I have with business owners quite a bit because treasury management services often have a fee,
right?
And so they say things like, "Well, I don't really want to pay for that." And so then you have to ask questions like, well, who in your office is running to make that deposit?
Right.
And what do you pay that person an hour? Who in your office is reconciling all the checks? These things can all be done electronically if you were using some treasury management services.
Right.
So, and the monthly cost of one of those services, far less than, your office personnel, or even worse, you're utilizing somebody that's higher skill, higher paid to do something like that.
Right.
And so you're paying even more, and you're pulling them away from something that's generating revenue for the business.
What's that opportunity cost, right?
Yeah. Or you're the owner and you're doing it. Even worse.
Even worse.
Yes.
Back to the positive pay and the fraud prevention. Outside of the financial cost, which can be massive, we've seen it. Small businesses get hit by fraudsters. The positive pay that helps stop that. But I've seen it with small business owners. I've seen it ruin small businesses.
Yeah, you have a business owner that writes a check pay a vendor they have a great relationship with.
Right.
And that check gets stolen out of the mail and washed and negotiated. The business owner believes, hey, that check cleared, check number 1582 cleared my account. Everything should be good.
Right.
And your vendor's getting frustrated. Maybe they don't call you right away because you're a great business owner that has always paid on time. There's never been an issue. And then it gets to a point where that vendor hasn't paid in 60 days.
Right.
And now they're frustrated with you. They don't see you as that on-time payer,
right.
that client that deserves the best rate or the best terms. All because you thought a check had cleared. You'd done all the things you were supposed to do.
Right.
And somebody out there took advantage of you.
Yep.
Because you weren't protected.
That's right. Speaking about positive pay and fraud protection, we actually did a whole episode on Financial Sense regarding fraud. And the truth of the matter is that fraud is not declining, it's expanding. I won't go into too much detail about that episode, but people should definitely check out the episode on fraud. It's excellent. And just kind of speaking about treasury management overall, for a client that doesn't have treasury management, may not know who their business banker is, how do they have that conversation? How do they even start the process?
That's, again, a good question. There are some services that banks offer kind of a la carte that you can sign yourself up for.
Right.
But in general, oftentimes it's not something that a business owner can just go get set up by themselves.
Right.
You got to have help. So
Right.
so you need a banker that can do that. And the banker will kind of make all the connections you need to make sure that all those products and services that make sense for your business can get set up.
That makes sense. All right, so let's move on now to, I know, an area that's one of your favorite areas, SBA loan or conventional bank loans, just credit.
Sure. Lending super important, and depending on where you are in the life cycle of your business, whether it is you're moving and into wanting to purchase the building that you operate out of, or you're a startup business and you need operating capital to get your business off the ground. I mean, they're, kind of from the beginning all the way to the end of your life cycle, lending typically is really important.
Right.
Specifically, businesses that can purchase the buildings they're in, that kind of stuff. You're creating, an asset that they leverage later after they've sold the business off or whatever the case may be. So that's a huge focus for our team, the small business banking team, is meeting with business owners and figuring out how can we help you access capital,
right?
To grow your business, to improve efficiencies. And again, that's what it's about. It's how do we help you run better and make, and in the end, make more money.
Right.
And that's lending oftentimes does those things.
What would your recommendation to a small business be regarding lending? I have something in my mind, but I want to see, it's one of those deals. What would your recommendation be?
Well, the recommendation is that, the business banker is meeting with you quarterly.
Right.
And discussing what your future plans are.
Right.
If are you planning on moving? Well, then we should be talking about you purchasing a building. Are we moving into the fourth quarter and you've got, tax liabilities coming? You want to start talking about buying equipment.
Right.
Or expanding. You've got, capital budgeting. That all these things should be happening with a good banker.
Right.
You're meeting quarterly and then deciding what sort of lending do you need? Or maybe it's an SBA loan because you want to purchase a rival business and expand.
Right.
So then we should be talking about SBA. But again, back to the life cycle of the business. If you're early in your business, we're probably talking to you about SBA financing.
Right.
That's the right tool, typically.
Yep.
As you grow, we start talking about equipment financing, purchasing real estate. And then at the end, then we start talking about transition financing, right? Are we helping the office manager in your office buy the business from you with an SBA loan? So it's kind of a cycle. It starts with SBA, you grow, and then sometimes you end in SBA. But all really valuable tools, but they're not valuable if you don't have the right person helping you with them.
Oh, so that's our segue into the fifth and final, the local bankers, the relationship with a local banker.
So that, I would say, is the most important thing, right? Because that gets you all these other things we've talked about.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners, I'll take myself. I was a banker, became a business owner. I had a really good idea of what I wanted in a banking service, in a banker, that kind of stuff. But I had a great business banker that showed me a few things, some equipment financing I could do, some a line of credit that could help me with how I was paying a vendor. So those are all things that a good banker is going to talk to you about. Finding a local banker, somebody that you can get a hold of, I think is really valuable. And it's my team's value proposition. Oftentimes you can get a hold of us. You have our cell phone.
Right.
We should be meeting with you. We should be one of the tools in your tool belt. so that when you say I have this issue or I don't even know, I'm going to call the people that I trust, my attorney, my banker, maybe my insurance agent. Those are the kind of folks that solves problems.
The point of financial sense and what you're saying really are the same, and that is, and what we try to really share on this podcast is the importance of having a relationship with a local banker is much more important than the bank you choose. It's much more important than the products or services. The importance is to have that relationship and be able to have these discussions on a regular basis as it relates to your business, where your business is going, so that those needs can be proactively provided for. And that's the most critical part of this entire conversation.
I agree, for sure. All banks offer just about the same stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's no, and it's in our world, you've got competitors to banking like fintechs, that kind of stuff.
Right.
They can get products and services in your hands without a banker, but there are some things you just have to have.
Right.
You need a banker for.
Right.
It's not that we have some magical checking account that nobody else has.
Right.
It's that you can get a hold of us and we're there to help you.
That's right.
That's the difference.
And provide perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of, we talked about the 5 accounts and services, which are great. A couple of other products I'd like to just throw out and talk about. I know I hear a lot of questions from customers about these type of products, but the money market account, especially as it relates to the business checking account. Talk a little bit about that.
It's a popular topic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rates are up.
Right.
Folks want to earn more money on their money.
Right.
So if you have a surplus of cash that it's not part of your operations, that should, to maximize on that, it should be in some sort of interest-bearing account.
Right.
And oftentimes business checking accounts can earn, some nominal interest
Right.
rate, but money markets should provide a larger return.
Right.
Number one, you don't want a surplus of cash in an account for fraud reasons.
Right.
So it can be moved into a money market.
And the difference between a money market and a certificate of deposit, a CD, for instance, is the money market is fully liquid. CD has a term where it's not liquid.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, money market it's a demand account.
Right.
Meaning you can move money in and out of it
Right.
as much as you want.
And then the second is line of credit. We talked about the importance of lending and credit for a small business, but every business starts with, I need a line of credit. Not always the case. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest piece of education that happens with business bankers, specifically my team, when we're meeting with newer businesses or businesses that have been established for a while but haven't had access to capital like a line of credit.
Right.
The design of a line of credit for a business is really just to fix a gap in the operating cycle. So typically it's just to provide you some operating funds while your cash is out on inventory or
Right.
product and you haven't been paid from your customers yet.
Right.
It's not used to buy things that are long-term expenses.
If I'm a small business owner and I'm thinking about whether it's an equipment purchase or the line of credit would not be appropriate. We want to try to match the repayment with what the asset is generating from a revenue standpoint.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it because we want to match the term or the repayment options to the use and then the collateral.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to put your building on a line of credit. Conversely, it operating, if you need $100,000 for 1 month while you've got some invoices that need to be paid but you haven't been paid, it doesn't make sense to do a 30-year or 25-year amortized term loan.
And then finally, and this is really a takeoff from the last point you made of having local bankers, but a willingness to work with you and your business, to understand your business, and to be willing to go through the tough times. Businesses, it's not all hockey stick up, right?
No, it is not. That willingness of us and the business banking team to be a resource for a business banking client in their worst times, in their best times. That's what we want to be. We want to be there when they say, I've got this going on. How can you help?
Right.
And whether that's great and that they've come into a huge windfall and they're going to open this business or do this, we want to be there. We want to be that first call. Or, hey, this is where I'm at. We've got problems.
Right.
How can we fix this?
Right.
And we want to be there for both.
Right.
That's, and really a business that can weather the ups and downs. That's the right business. That's the one you want to bank.
That's right. And this is where I think a bank separates themselves from other banks when they view themselves and really understand that they are an important, integral part of the community, the business community, that that's what that means. You're there to work. You're there to provide resources. You're there to help, but you aren't there only for the cream on top of the cake. I mean, you're there to do the work.
Yeah, we want to be there for. We say we want to be the bank of the community,
right? So,
and that's we mean that. We want to be your bank. We want to be standing arm in arm with you when you are volunteering.
Yep.
At some great organization, and we want to be there when you're on top of the world and opening a new location, and you want to move a shovel full of dirt. And we want to be there in your dark times when you're saying, well, I don't know how we're going to do this, Chris.
Don't know where to go.
Yeah, well, let's figure it out.
Yeah,
how can we work with you?
That's really, really great stuff there, Chris. So speaking of the importance of lending for small business, I'm also kind of brings to my mind the personal side, because owners of small businesses also have personal needs, personal lending needs. Do you see value in that for a small business owner, that to have a banking relationship with a bank on the personal side?
I do. Your business banker is going to understand your business better than a personal banker at another bank that doesn't have any relationship with your business. When you're trying to get things like a personal car loan, whereas they may another bank just may ask for your W-2. Well, you're a business owner. Maybe you don't take a W-2.
Right.
Maybe you're getting distributions or
right.
something that's just a little bit more cloudy,
right.
is probably a better way to say it.
And then you don't have to tell the whole story again.
No,
right?
they should understand your business. They should understand your personal needs too. If you're having those discussions, if you have that relationship, that they are planning on buying a new vehicle
exactly
in 3 or 4 months. And then again, that's where that business banker acts as kind of the quarterback of the relationship and can engage one of their partners that handles consumer lending at the bank. But it all starts, again, with having a relationship with a good business banker that can help bridge the gap.
This has been a really, really good episode, Chris, talking about the 5 services or accounts that a small business owner needs: your business checking account, your business credit card, treasury management, and all the different services that fall under the treasury management umbrella. SBA loan and or conventional lending, and leasing we didn't talk about, but leasing is also a very important financing tool for small business. And then I think the most important service is having a local banker who understands the local market. Those 5 are just absolutely critical. So Chris, I just want to thank you. Thank you so much.
That's been a pleasure. Thanks.
I want to thank everyone for watching today. Make sure and like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and YouTube.